Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about kidneys part 3. This is part of the maintaining a balance unit, and throughout this lesson I'm just going to be going through some stuff that should follow on from part 1 and part 2. Okay, so first off, a balance in the optimal concentrations of blood chemicals is maintained by the selective excretion of wastes, as well as any excess water and salt in urine. Therefore, the ability of the kidney to alter the urine concentration plays a vital role in homeostasis. All this paragraph is really saying is that the kidney allows for a balance to be maintained inside our system, and that is through the maintenance of selective excretion of wastes, as well as excess water and salts in the urine. Okay, so let's move on. How do these, how do these things, how do these wastes get transported? Well, obviously there's active and passive transport, so you got active, which requires ATP, versus passive, where no ATP is required, plus there has to be a concentration gradient. So summing up, in active you need ATP as well as there doesn't have to be a concentration gradient, it can be forced. But in passive there needs to be a concentration gradient as well as there has to be no ATP used. Okay, so let's move on. So active transport in the kidney. Active transport moves mainly sodium ions, glucose, amino acids, and hydrogen ions across the wall of the nephron. This is the only thing you really need to remember. So I'm just going to put it out for you. This is something to remember. Okay. All glucose and amino acids are reabsorbed by the kidney cells so that they are not lost in urine and so that they move against the concentration gradient. Cool. Additional nitrogenous wastes, uric acid and hydrogen ions, H+, are added to urine from blood capillaries in the kidney tubules. Don't worry too much about all this stuff. All I'd really say is remember this. All this is important. Just remember these substances and how they are transported. So these are active transport. Okay. So now that leads us to passive transport in the kidney. Within the kidney tubules, there is a two-way movement of substances. There's waste substances passed from the bloodstream into the kidney tubules to be excreted in urine, and the substances required by the body, which are removed from the urine in the kidney tubules. So this is just a diagram of the kidney, and the tubules are just all here, and it's just saying that waste substances that pass through, they get excreted in the urine through after filtration and secretion, and substances required by the body are removed from the urine in the kidney tubules, and then is returned to the bloodstream through the walls of capillaries, and that is all this is actually saying. Cool. Now, to finish this off, I'm sorry it's quite a short lesson, but I just like to finish this off now with some differences between active and passive transport, and some advantages and disadvantages. Okay. So you've got this is active transport. Okay. So in advantages, no concentration gradient is needed. Okay. Disadvantages are ATP is required. ATP is basically defined as the energy production inside cells, which does need a lot of things and is basically energy expenditure in the body. Okay, another advantage would be that it can be fast or reliable, But a disadvantage could be that it obviously costs energy, which means respiration needs to occur. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Let's move on to passive. So you got add, advantages, there's adds. Okay, so for this one, what I'd say is that the biggest disadvantage would be that it can be extremely slow. It can also be very unreliable. However, in the advantages, we have no ATP expenditure. We can do it effortlessly anytime there's a concentration gradient. So if the concentration gradient is substantially bigger, then the chances are that it will be fast and reliable. But there is another disadvantage, which is concentration gradients are required. This concludes this lesson. I really do hope it helps.